African Union. And I'm even surprised that some African countries are already saying that they don't want to recognize the new government.
Yes.
This is a legitimate government that has come in. And their friend, Gaddafi, is gone. So they have got to accept the new government and come in and support them. We expect the new government to follow democratic principles, reintroduce term limits, 2 terms, for example, or 3 terms, whatever they would want to choose. But they must come up now and tell the world. And it will be easy now for the diplomats abroad to carry out the foreign policy, because the old system, repressive system, would have changed. And they should come up with a new foreign policy of advancing the Libyan cause, telling what was going in that country. So we expect them, of course, to go to the UN, African Union, international organization, and put their case. And I will tell you, all these, yes, they'll be welcome. All these countries are waiting to recognize the new government in Libya. Many countries are already recognized. France had, Britain had, they are already working with them in Benghazi.
That's true.
So they are going to get support. And I don't think, really, maybe for selfish needs, that there will be a country which will say, no, we won't work with this new government in February.
They're holding an emergency session tonight. The UN Ban Ki-moon has been addressing the media in New York. I think he's expressing support for the, very briefly, before we go to Ambassador Acemah, very briefly, Honorable Wamai, what do you think should happen to Gaddafi? Should he go to the ICC in The Hague, or should he be tried locally? Should he be given asylum?
They should go to ICC. They should take him in. Those dictators in Africa should learn a lesson.
Right. That
you cannot mistreat your people. You cannot treat your people and get away with it.
All right.
And if he's tried in the country, people will say, oh yes, because these rebels that have mistreated him. But let him go and face it at the international court, as ICC. That others will learn a lesson that you cannot go against your people. You cannot treat your people. You cannot go to that extent.
And get away with it.
And get away with it.
Ambassador Acemah, what do you think is going to happen after Gaddafi goes? Or what do you think should happen?
Well, Libya is going to face a lot of challenges. The first being to establish stability, establish political stability. And secondly, I think Libya should strive to establish a democratic system of governance, which will include respect for human rights. I think one of the tragic legacies of the Gaddafi regime has been the total abuse of human rights of Libyan people and Africans in many other countries, including in Uganda. Like, if you may remember, in 1979, Gaddafi sent, I think, a battalion of Libyan troops who came and fought here in Uganda. I believe some of them actually lost their lives here. The other issue, of course, will be to rebuild the economy of Libya. And at least they have an advantage that they have vast oil resources. But it's going to take time to rebuild a shattered economy. But the most important thing is I want to establish political stability, democratic rule. At least Libya has an advantage. They've got many highly educated and experienced people in all fields of endeavor. But after this 6 months, called a civil war, civil strife, internal strife, it's going to take time to rebuild the fabric of the nation. In fact, one of the things which I found surprising that during the I didn't know that there were so many tribes in Libya. There are apparently many tribes there. So that ethnicity, the issue of ethnicity is reared its ugly head. They do need to put that aside to build one nation, one government, and hopefully one parliament. But Libya, I think there's a lot of goodwill for Libya from both outside Africa and within Africa. I think there's been a lot of sympathy people have seen for themselves that Libyans have gone through. I think they should make the best use of that goodwill. And I also hope that they will get good leadership. You know, the interim leader of the transitional government. You know, he appears a very seasoned person. Of course, people can say that many of these people worked for Gaddafi. A man who has been in power for 42 years, everybody has been working for Gaddafi regime. So if you're going to get people who are not 20 with the Gaddafi regime, maybe there are people who have been exiled.
Okay. Ambassador,
they may not be the best, people to come and lead it. So I think people can change. A good example in the Bible is St. Paul. From being a persecutor of Christians, he became Paul and became a
defender of the faith.
Disciple.
Okay. Ambassador Acemah, before we move forward, I would like to ask you, I'm sorry to cut you short there, what do you think should happen to Gaddafi in your view? Should he go to the Hague, or should he be kept and tried in Libya, or should he be given amnesty, forgiven?
Well, I think that is for the Libyan people to decide. From what I heard on the news today, I think the Libyan people would prefer to try Gaddafi in Libya, in Tripoli. Libya has got a respectable judicial system, and at least today I heard the interim leader, condemn acts of lawlessness. He was firm, he once called Libyans, especially the rebels, the so-called rebels, the people who have taken power, not to take the law in their hands. I think Gaddafi and his sons can get a fair trial.
All right.
In Libya. And of course, the international community has to come and observe the trial so that it meets minimum standards, international standards.
Okay.
You see, ICC is becoming like a court for Africans, for the weak.
Well, but there's Slobodan Milosevic as well.
That is the exception. Most of the people who are before ICC are from Africa.
Well, maybe Africa is behaving in a certain way.
I have no problem with it, but I think ultimately it must be legal people to decide whether he should go to ICC, or I think personally I would prefer that he be tried in Libya, because the crimes committed were mostly in Libya.
All right. You don't think that will divide the nation?
Not really. Why should it?
Okay.
Why should it divide the nation? If you have committed a crime, even if you are my brother, you should face the law.
Okay, we'll move forward at this point. Honorable Wamai, very briefly before I ask you.
Yes, what I was saying is surely if Gaddafi is tried in Libya, people will think that the trial will not be fair. So want a neutral court to try him. Of course, he has got some support in Libya.
Yes.
You can see what happened in Cairo.
Right.
When Mbale was brought in, some people were demonstrating outside. Those who are benefiting.
Right.
There are many who have benefited out of Gaddafi's rule. And definitely when it's taken court, they'll think, oh no, the court was biased, it was against him. So want a neutral court to try this man. And this also sends good signals to the rest
of the people.
Because if you try him in the country, maybe you might say, no, the trial wasn't fair. And they say, but he must be tried by ICC.
How do you think this news is going to be treated in African capitals?
Of course, she has sent shocking news waves. Some of them are now worried. Who's coming next? Who's coming next? Who's going to be the next? But this also now shows that surely people should respect democracy.
Okay.
Constitutionalism. That there must be peaceful change of power. And this is what is sent across. So those ones who have been there for many years are now thinking, really, if Gaddafi could go, if Mbale could go, if Ben Ali could go. You can see what's now happening in Syria.
Yes.
A
lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure. For us who are outside, we think that the people of Syria are not oppressed.
Right.
But you can see what happened in north of Syria, on the border with the Turkey.
Yes.
The tanks that were hitting. The people who came up peaceful and said no, we are under repression.
Right.
And how could they express their anger? It's by coming out. Okay. But he sent in tanks. And these rulers now in Africa have become that one takes over and passes over to his son.
Oh.
So you can see what happened is happening in Syria.
Right.
The father was the president. Now he handed over to his son. Gaddafi was preparing to hand over to his son. So is Egypt.
Right.
You can see. So this will really send signals to many capitals around Africa.
All right. I think we'll hear from you listeners right now. This is Spectrum, the imminent fall of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. Is this a wake-up call to all African leaders? Maybe we have hear from the listeners. Ambassador Acemah, what's your view? How do you think people in other capitals in Africa are going to hear this news or have heard it?
Well, you see, I agree with what Honorable Wamai just said. I think Gaddafi's downfall has sent shockwaves to many African leaders. But I think for the ordinary people, for Africans, this is a good wake-up call.
Okay.
That there is limit to impunity. You see, this is one of the tragedies of these long-traveling leaders.
Right.
You know, there is a type of impunity which African leaders are notorious for.
Okay, let's hear from the listeners.
And it's necessary. It's something which we really have to put an end to.
Okay.
And another thing which New Libya needs to do is to ensure that there is rule of law. Okay. That there is nobody who is above the law. Gaddafi was above the law. In fact, he was the law itself.
Okay.
It's one of his problems.
All right.
The rule of law is very important. I hope that the new regime can make an early start.
Okay.
To establish the rule of law.
Let's hear from the listeners. Of course, when Gaddafi was told he should resign, when the West first told him to resign, he said he had no official position to resign from, because officially he's only leader of the people. He wasn't even, occupying any office according to him. You can call in now. Our numbers on Spectrum: 0414-348-111, 0312-260-390, 0312-261-390. Please tell us your name and where you are calling from. Spectrum, hello?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Your name?
I'm AM calling from Kingsford Plaza.
Yes.
I want to recognize the ambassadors, but I want to disagree with them when they said other leaders should learn from that. I think Honorable Wamanga of Municipality should be specific and give us the countries. And another issue, we should not condemn Gaddafi 100% because we have benefited. It was Colonel Gaddafi who helped Museveni to liberate this country. So we should also register his good deeds and also wish him well. Thank you.
Spectrum, hello?
Good evening.
Good evening. Your name, sir?
My name is David Manda from Bukoto. Yeah, the fall of Gaddafi is this wake-up call. Exactly it is. Because if Colonel Muammar Gaddafi had established a democratic government with independent institutions 28 years ago, there would have been this carnage that has taken place in Libya. It has been total destruction of humankind. It's very unfortunate. Because everything in Libya has been run down because of one person. It's very dangerous. As I conclude, African leaders should take this very strong resolve that they should also hide behind the irregular elections to destroy their own countries. I thank you this evening.
Spectrum, hello? 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 Spectrum, hello? Your name?
Hello?
Yes, your name?
How are you?
Very well, sir. Your name?
Okay. This is Waisa from Entebbe. Hello?
Yes, sir. Please go on. You're live on air.
Okay. I would say it's a very good lesson. Shockwave is sent. But we should be thanking the entire Libyans for the effort that they've given the rest of us to follow. If they had decided to sit down, then that wouldn't happen. And perhaps at the end of the day, we would be having the sons of Gaddafi taking over governance after the end of the periods. And that's not good for any country. So if they had not stood up, that would have been continuing. Right. Now that they have, the rest of the countries must know, and that should be for us to follow.
Spectrum, hello?
Hello?
Yes, your name, sir?
Hello?
Hello, you're live on air.
My name is Andrew. I'm calling from Magana.
Yes, Andrew.
The fall has been long overdue, and this is an awakening which is moving southwards. Now, yet to see more presidents have taken longer in positions of power, and they let themselves lose those positions. And to me, as a person who is within the same scenario, I thank the National Transitional Force, which has lived in best of peace and love.
Spectrum, hello?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, your name?
My name is Tino.
Tina, yes?
Thank you so much for the program. Now, the fall of Gaddafi, I just want to really wonder about what African Union. from the time when the conflict began up to the fall, there hasn't been any tangible measure done by African Union to actually avert the situation or probably handle the situation. So I look at the African Union as a club of African presidents who just meet annually, congratulate themselves upon surviving the thing. Thanks so much.
Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Your name, sir?
Yeah, I'm called from there. Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm from Namongo. I think African leaders, for me, I'm saying this. 99% of African leaders, they are not good leaders. They should follow examples of America. In America, whether you are like elephant, when your time comes, you have to go. And the next will be, I think, even Uganda. Thank you.
Spectrum, hello.
Hello.
Can you switch off your radio? Your name?
Hello?
Your name, sir?
My name is Okelo.
Yes.
I have a little bit of a different opinion. I really feel sad for Africa because we are more focused on the length of stay of our leaders, not what they have done during their period of stay. I think that Gaddafi did a lot for Libyans and for Africa, that we should at this time feel a little bit, sad that such a great man who has done a lot for the African nations and for his people is being taken down because of the great things he did. I think the world is fighting Gaddafi because he was very good. I don't think they're fighting him because he stayed long in power. And I think we, as Africans, we should understand that it's very, very challenging to be an African leader doing a good thing and not interfered with. And therefore, if you stay long, but you are still doing something good,
you should be left alone.
Recognize that and make sure that you continue to build the African sovereignty.
All right. Honorable Wamai, these people should be left to build African sovereignty, but so they stay in power 20, 30, 50 years maybe.
Well, I've heard all the comments. The first gentleman said, what about other African leaders? And he wanted information. Of course, everybody knows those who have overstayed in power. And therefore, I cannot go on enumerating those countries. One would know. Secondly, he talks of Libya helping to liberate Uganda. That's fine. That was great that he helped to liberate Uganda. But what did he do in his country? For his people. For us outside, we thought he was doing wonderful things. And as I mentioned earlier, the man took the country as his own property. The money he was bringing and dishing out here and there, he was doing it at the expense of the Libyan people. There was no cabinet, no parliament that sat in Tripoli and decided that we take this to go and help the people of Africa or Uganda. No, he was doing it personally. Therefore, he was so repressive to the people of Libya. Yes, I agree with most of the callers, except Mr. Okero, who feels that they're going for African leaders who are bad and so on and so on. And Gaddafi did a lot for Africa, helped. The same answer. If you are helping other countries and you're doing it at the expense of your people definitely will never be happy. You become a dictator. You decide on what to do, but you don't even ask your people. But you are doing it, you are repressing your people in the country, and you are going outside to show good name. I gave an example when Gaddafi came here, and in Munyonyo, that wasn't a very good picture at all. Of course, Uganda has benefited here and there. We appreciate he came and built the mosque in the old Kampala. That's fine.
Yes.
For our Muslim brother, that's fine. But then, why do you go back and repress your people? That's what should be taken. I don't think the Western countries were coming out to fight African leaders specifically because they were doing good things for Africa. No.
Okay.
If Mr. Okero met the Libyans outside and talked to them, what takes place in that country, you cannot believe. When people go to visit Libya, they'll be entertained, they'll do everything for them. But he does it as his personal, those are his personal friends. Even if delegations went to Libya, he will take them as his personal friends and do everything for them without the people being consulted in Libya at all.
Right. All right. You've covered all of the questions?
Most of them were really agreeing.
They were really agreeing.
Yes, exactly. That Mr. Songo said 99% of African leaders are not good at all.
Right.
They should follow some examples. That's the term limit I was talking about.
And Mr. Twine was saying the African Union all through this was aloof, and he says he brings it down. It's a very old saying. I think I have last heard it many years ago. There's a club of African presidents who each year they meet in Addis Ababa and other places to congratulate themselves on managing another 1 year. Ambassador Acemah, you still with us on the line. Would you like to respond to some of these callers?
Yes, I am.
Yes, would you like to respond to the question? I gather you heard them, sir?
Yes, I just want to supplement what Honorable Wamai already said. You know, Mr. Okello is entirely wrong, because you see the assistance which Libya, which he says Gaddafi gave to Uganda and other African countries, it's not from Gaddafi. This is assistance from the government and people of Libya. You see, there's this fallacy in Africa. We tend to personalize the state. The state doesn't belong to an individual. You know, whatever Gaddafi allegedly did in Uganda, it's not Gaddafi, it is the government, the people of Libya who assisted us.
Okay.
And really, it is not correct to be only going to him.
Okay.
And secondly, there are many other Libyans who could have done just as well or even better than Gaddafi.
Exactly.
Right.
This idea that only one person can do it is rubbish. It's nonsense. We shouldn't buy that sort of argument.
Okay.
Term limit is necessary. You know, there is nobody who has a monopoly of ideas, who have a monopoly of intelligence. That is something we should not even buy.
Okay.
You know, everybody has God-given ability. All we need is to be given a chance.
All right.
Okay.
Let's talk about.
So really, overstaying power it cannot be justified at all.
Okay, let's talk about Gaddafi has been at the forefront of helping the African Union. He's been paying bills for some countries, loaning them money, and also helping the African Union. Some countries couldn't pay their dues, and he used to pay their dues. Do you think we'll get another leader who can sacrifice on behalf of the unity of Africa?
Yeah. Nkrumah did that. Nkrumah did that in the 60s. And South Africa and Nigeria have the capacity to do it.
Okay.
Just needs the will.
And you can see what Uganda is doing in Somalia.
Yes.
Sent in forces.
Right.
Uganda and Burundi. Burundi, small countries, is able to contribute by the big economies. People are unwilling to help our brothers in Somalia. You know, it just needs political will.
Okay.
And even the new government in Libya that will come in definitely would want to work with African countries.
Right.
Because Libya is part of Africa.
And it's a rich country. It's one of the
It's a rich country, yes, a rich country. They're not coming there and saying, no, we're not going to help Africans. Right. Actually, the new government in Tripoli would want to work with African countries.
Right.
Perhaps more, and show that the help that will come from Tripoli is from the government and to the people of Africa. Not as an individual. Not one man as he was doing. Because the man would move with briefcases full of notes, $100 bills, and he would spread them around.
Giving tips. He gave tips in Sheraton,
yes,
and he moves along with long convoys. One time he was turned away from Nigeria.
Yes.
The convoy was too long, and he has his, female bodyguards.
Exactly. When he comes to a country, he takes over the country. You can see when he comes to Uganda, he takes over the street of this country.
His bodyguards
He
fight.
really does Uganda as a no country at all. You can see the fight planes that come and escorting him.
Right.
And when he comes in, he takes over the country. You can imagine as if there's no country at all. So it's as if he's a Superman in Africa.
King
of kings in Africa.
Well, he's gone. Now we have only one king of kings left. Honorable Wamai, Uganda says it's not going to give Gaddafi asylum. Is that a good thing? Is that what you do for friends when they're in trouble?
Well, there must be a reason. If you don't open the door for your friend who has been a long-time friend, there must be a reason.
Okay.
And the reason is written on the wall.
All right, we have to go. Of course, one of the things we do not know is how government is going to handle it. There's one road named after him. There's a mosque. That's something for different. But there's a road named after him with a very large signpost in Old Kampala. We don't know what's going to happen to that road. And the largest road sign I've seen anywhere I've traveled. Also, maybe during Idi Amin's time, he named Lake George after himself. It used to be called Lake Idi Amin. It went back to Lake George. He also named Lake Albert, Lake Mobutu Sese Seko, which was later renamed. Anyway, we can't discuss everything on this show, but we have to end here, and I must thank you, our guest, Honorable Jack Wamanga Wamai, Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs, Member of Parliament from Mbale Municipality. He was a diplomat for 25 years. Thank you for coming to share with us your very, very insightful perspective, sir.
Thank you very much, Edmond, for inviting me. I'm always ready to come to join you on this interesting Spectrum program in the evenings. I thank the listeners.
Thank you, Ambassador Harold Acemah, retired diplomat. He was in the diplomatic service for a long time. He's now a consultant on international affairs. Thank you for coming to Spectrum, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for tuning. Thank you for tuning in. Our third guest was unable to make it. He's a Pan-Africanist. I introduced him earlier. We'll probably have him before the week is out to share his perspectives from that point of view. Thank you for tuning in. I've been your host, Edmond Chisto. Spectrum will be back tomorrow. Up next, though, is the news in the English language. Do stay tuned.